So today is Friday, September the 5th.
I'm I'm ready.
And so Rinaldo, Kuya Ray
Okay.
will say the prayer in Tagalog and for us. Thank you.
Hango sa Talmud Emmanuel, chapter 6, verses 11 to 18. Magsigalangin nga kayo na nakatatalot at tuloy manalangin ng ganito. Aking Espiritu, o kamalayan, nalikha kang nakapaloob sa makapangyarihan sa lahat. Purihin ang iyong pangalan. Nawa ang iyong kaharian ay mapasa aking kabuuan. Nawa ang iyong kapangyarihan ay makiwalat sa aking kabuuan sa lupa at sa mga langit. Bigyan mo ako ngayon ng aking aral upang makilala ko ang aking mga kamalian ng karunungan. At huwag mo akong ipahintulot sa tukso at sa gulamihanan, kundi ilayo mo ako sa mali. Dahil sa iyo ang kahariang nasa ang kabuuan, ang kapangyarihan, at ang karunungan magpakailanman.
Thank you, Kuya Ray. So I'm gonna do the third version of the Nocademian prayer. That was the seventh in Tagalog, and I'm doing the third version, otherwise known as Emmanuel's Prayer or the Mind Geist, on which the Christian Our Father or Lord's Prayer was based in German, but this was the original prayer as intended by Emmanuel. Mein Geist, der du bist in Allmacht, dein Name sei geheiligt. Dein Reich inkarniere sich in mir. Deine Kraft entfalte sich in mir, auf Erden und in den Himmeln. Mein tägliches Brot gib mir heute, so ich erkenne meine Schuld und ich erkenne die Wahrheit. Entführe mich nicht in Versuchung und Verwirrung, sondern erlöse mich vom Irrtum. Denn dein ist das Reich in mir und die Kraft und das Wissen in Ewigkeit. I'm going to say the 7 affirmations in German and English. Ich lebe in Liebe. I live in love. Ich lebe in Frieden. I live in peace. Ich lebe in Freiheit. I live in freedom. Ich lebe in Harmonie. I live in harmony. Ich lebe unbeschwert. I live unburdened. Ich lebe in Gesundheit. I live in health. Ich lebe in Freude. I live in joy. Okay.
There we go. What is this green screen here? Oh, okay. All right, so everybody can see this now?
Yes, good.
Okay, why don't we get started then? Presentation for September 2025, questions about the 12 recommendations. Billy E.A. Myers, oral explanations of the 12 recommendations, excerpt from the conversation with Michael Voigtlander on 4th of June, 2025. Now this is, let's see, it's about 17 pages, so I kind of doubt we're going to get finished with it. If we stop for commentaries after each of the recommendations, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll probably go through about 8 pages, maybe. We'll see how it goes. But more than likely, I'll have to take this up on our next presentation, but we'll see how it goes. So in explanation, according to the ancient teaching of Nocedemian from, excuse me, I have dogs. According to the ancient teaching of Nocedemian from the Ankara universe, the recommendations described in detail in the teachings of the truth, teachings of creation energy, teachings of life, are given as these were brought to earth and taught by early heralds, but were maliciously shortened to a minimum and also falsified by later self-appointed recorders of the teachings. The following 12 moral recommendations, which are now available and given in detail for human beings on earth, are the most important and are given in accordance with, excuse me just a moment. Sorry about that, folks. With regard to the given 12 recommendations, it should now be explained in more detail in a responsible and brief way what these recommendations actually contain as a whole, what they basically mean, and what they are to be understood as, and how everything is really to be understood from them. Number 1, thou shalt have no other gods, goddesses, idols, or saints besides creation. For these were only far-traveled human beings who were erroneously worshipped by the earth humans as gods, goddesses, and idols. Fundamentally, human beings should only absorb, accept, and register, store in the memory of their consciousness as effective knowledge what they can actually see, hear, feel, and perceive clearly and consciously in terms of sensation, impulse, instinct, or in any other effective way. This also applies to his conscious creation in this world of thoughts, in his feelings and sensations, as well as completely in all his effective perceptions, in his entire physical realm, because only the real, and thus reality itself, is what is creational and thus natural, correct, and true. Every kind and form of belief, whatever kind it may be, it may also be, can never be consulted, for such a belief is never provable, but only reality and its truth. In this respect, therefore, only creation as nature with its energy and power is provable in all that exists in the universe, and can be consciously recognized and proven as effective reality and as its truth, and can also be truly understood through understanding and reason. Creation as nature is therefore also physically tangible, palpable, and can also be perceived in terms of impulses and feelings. It can and should therefore also be treated with dignity and honor, not only in the form of contemplation and admiration, but also in the wise in which it is protected and given careful care and attention. Creation, the true nature of everything that exists and of all the energy and power contained and at work in it at all times, through which everything and anything from the very largest to the most insignificant of tiny things is animated and can lead its existence, has no equal. Never and never could any being equal it. Neither other might, gods, idols, or saints. No being has ever existed, and no being will ever exist that could in any wise equal creation, with even the tiniest iota of creation nature. Even all the primitive endeavors of earth humans or other living beings in the universes throughout creation space will never be able to effect the work of creation with even the tiniest iota. What human beings or other consciously capable and thus developed beings of any genus species, and form try to bungle in imitation of creation are, since time immemorial as well as at present and until the end of all time and existence, what other human beings or other consciously capable and thus developed beings of any genus, species, and form try to bungle in imitation of creation are, since time immemorial, as well as at present and until the end of all time and existence, only miserable botched attempts through which they can never also achieve the work of creation nature, even in the tiniest iota. This because the energy and power of creation nature can never be fathomed and also never be reproduced or imitated. No matter how great endeavors and grandiose the attempts, therefore, no human beings or higher beings should appear and megalomaniacally seek to elevate themselves above creation nature, for they will never also reach the absolute natural energy and power, as well as its work, even in iota size. And since human beings or other beings are not capable of this either, human beings should not have or tolerate any fantasized might, a god or gods, idols and saints, etc., next to creation. For these fantasy beings invented by human beings are in no wise what they are imagined to be, and are devoid of energy, power, and nonsense. It is creation alone, with its energy, power, that animates everything and everyone, all matter, all fauna, all flora, everything visible and invisible, everything tangible and intangible, everything visible, invisible, audible, inaudible, but also everything that is physically tangible and intangible, as well as everything that is sentient and insentient. That was kind of a redundant paragraph there. Creation is the existence of everything that exists, from the smallest and tiniest to the mightiest and most powerful. And it is called creation nature because everything and everything has always emerged from it. Because everything and everything emerges from it, and everything will also emerge from it, exist and be animated by its energy and power in the future. It alone embodies, to put it mildly and simply, as nature, all that exists in its sevenfold and different dimension, as well as gigantic and immeasurable universe realms. As the nature of all things and the existence of all that exists. Apart from creation as such, there is neither energy and power nor anything else that would be equal to it, neither by human beings nor by might conceived through their imagination, reverie, or illusions, nor by any conceived God, nor gods, idols, or saints, who would also only have the tiniest of zero energy and power in the slightest wise, would be able to work in the same way, which only creation as such, with its energy and power, can bring into being and bring about what it alone is predestined to do. In this wise, it is of an all universal, uniform nature. Consequently, there is no second in its entire sevenfold space. Also no third, fourth, for in the sevenfold space, creation, there is no nuance of difference in the nature of creation. There is only a difference in the way that in one area of a world, the fauna and flora matter thrive and flourish in their own way. But in another area, the plants thrive and flourish in their own way. Just as from one area to another, the life forms, depending on their genus and species, and therefore the fauna and flora, as well as the matter, are different and therefore fundamentally different. Thus, the nature of creation remains universally the same and unchangeable through the entire space of all 7 universes and all dimensions of creation. Are there any comments or questions on this recommendation? Righty, let's continue. Number 2, the human being shall hold creation in honor and dignity, neither abusing nor harming it, nor desecrating nor disrespecting it. The creation is nature, and the existence of everything and everyone that exists as a whole in the manifold universal space. The whole has no sense of a religion and is therefore not oriented towards any belief, but towards the comprehensive existence of nature and its entire fauna and flora, and also towards the entire universe and the space dust, including all the tiniest forms of life existing in it, such as its material belt or the cosmos with all solar stars, asteroids, gases, comets, meteors, nebula, and planets. This entirety is not to be touched in the sense that is neither abused nor harmed, and also never desecrated, but respected and treated as good. Everything in creation should also be kept pure and clean at all times, effectively honest and truly in honor and dignity. Number 3, the human being should reflect on creation every day and observe its existence and activity as if it were a holiday, and refrain from anything negative in gratitude for his ability to exist in and through it. The human being should control his actions, speech, behavior, and deeds every day, and shape everything and everything correctly, and make it honorable, sublime, and dignified, so that it appears solemn. The human being should keep everything and every one of his thoughts, feelings, emotions, actions pure every day, and also lead his life in a truly honest and free, controlling manner, thereby shaping it into a living holiday. Life should be oriented towards peace and freedom in a constantly controlling manner, just as creation dictates in its nature, so that nothing wrong or contrary to life and nothing negative is cherished in thought, and nothing of the kind is also acted upon. We should not think and act against the positive, but always only within the framework of the positive and righteous, not against the positive, regular, good, and correct. The human being should constantly honor, appreciate, and keep clean the positive truth according to the real and effective truth, and thus do nothing wrong and do what, according to the judgment of the correct, is given by the all-encompassing creation. The human being should always keep everything he speaks, acts, does, and his entire behavior of every kind and form pure and honorable. Thus also in peace, freedom, love, and in all values of the good, positive, and constantly oriented towards the contemplative. And consequently, let his entire attitude be determined by calmness and gentle attention. The human being should therefore indulge in insight meditation and utilize the insights gained from it daily in daily life and existence, so that he does not oppose what is right, regular, and specifically correct, and follows what is given by creation or nature and is not wrong and can be realized at his own discretion with his own energy and strength. Number 4, the human being should not break the covenant of communion with creation, which is an inseparable bond of duty and right between it and human beings. The recommendation is based on the fact that there is an indestructible connection between creation and human beings, all fauna and flora, and all existing visible, invisible, and invisible life, because creation is the existence and the energy and power of all that exists, and thus the energy of creation in general. It is therefore comprehensively nature, its fauna and flora, all matter of every kind, just as it is also the existence of the cosmos in its very own energy and power of its manifold universe space. In this way, creation is the connecting pole of all being and non-being, as is also the connection between it and every life form existing in it, whether it moves independently or is bound to a place, flies, flutters, runs, crawls, winds, swims, creeps, bores through the earth, trees, plants, etc., or digs and burrows through the ground. What the creation provides and inevitably connects everything with it and its existence is all and everything of its energy and power. And therefore, life, or simply everything that creeps and crawls, the human being is first and foremost a part of this, and everything that is of its kind or similar, endowed with an evolutionary consciousness. Accordingly, creation and human beings together have a relationship of the closest and lifelong bond, where this is called marriage in the sense of human beings, which literally means community of life. But this is fundamentally a connecting state of creation with everything that has been created, exists, and has become effectively existent through it, i.e., a direct connection that should actually be called a bond. In other words, nature, as well as everything else that is visible or invisible, tangible or intangible, and sentient and insentient, that has come into existence. So all this is nature and all its fauna and flora, as well as everything that exists. Everything was already given from the ground up as an all-encompassing connection for everything and anything. So first of all, hermaphroditism for creation itself. This as its form of its great energy and power of evolution, which is fundamentally integrated into all its creations or into all its objects of the entire fauna and flora. The faunal life forms, mainly human beings, animals and creatures, etc., were thus created in a very specific way as hermaphrodites, specifically as female and male beings. who consequently exist with ovarian tissue and also with testicular tissue in equal or opposite gonads. The external genitalia, as well as the internal duct structures, naturally show difference between male and female. The actual genital tissues generally manifest themselves in all but about 8 to 10% of the various life forms in groups with a bisexual interpretation, which means that hermaphrodites or bisexual beings can also develop from them. The human being, animal, or creature can also be intersexed, such as human beings, animals, creatures with variations in sexual characteristics and sexual development or intersexuality, etc. According to what has been explained, the human being has naturally complied with hermaphrodism at an early stage of his creation or incarnation and has united and joined together as a male and female being, thereby complying with the creation requirement of evolution and further development, as well as reproduction. So he has consummated a marriage, which is a hermaphroditically predetermined union between woman and man, which was made by human beings into what is nowadays usually legally recognized as a marriage between two sexually different persons, between a man and woman, which can also be possible, for example, between homosexual men or lesbian women. Being connected in this way is a natural right that is not only reserved for human beings, but also for all fauna and flora, and therefore all animals and creatures, as well as all life forms in general. The law of creation given by natural law should not be broken or disregarded. This should be justified and recognized for human beings, social law, and against all false and forbidding religious teachings in this regard. Also, when it is usually religiously, officially, and ritually or legally regulated and takes place with ceremonies. The marriage union or concubinage, two persons of different sexes living together without being married and not having registered partnership, but a marriage-like cohabitation, is unfortunately not legally recognized as equivalent to official marriage due to the ignorance of the created nature of the natural union, which is fundamentally and naturally predetermined by creation. It is a legally and socially recognized cohabitation of two persons, which is intended to be permanent, is a voluntary union, and is characterized by certain rights and obligations, and should neither be disregarded nor broken, bearing in mind that every such union is predetermined by creation in this way, but cannot be regulated again in the event of ausartum and is rendered non-viable. For human beings, this means that if a marriage no longer works for whatever reason, it can and should be divorced. In other words, a marriage should not be broken willfully because it is not only a personal decision, but it is also creational, even if it is recognized by law, state, and society. Marriage is a voluntary cohabitation based on voluntary decision by both partners to live a life together that is designed to last a long time in accordance with the creational bond, meaning that it should not simply be broken on a whim, but only when there is a real need for it. The human being's marriage bond with creation is lifelong, and the marriage bond establishes certain rights and duties between the spouses, which are, for example, the right to mutual assistance and the duty of mutual consideration, as well as also the equal rights and duties of both partners. Note Wikipedia etymology. The word marriage comes from the Old High German "Ewa," meaning law or provision. Wedding, also called marriage or nuptials, refers to the Old Germanic word "Heirat," I think, which means household provision or marriage. Well, that was quite a long one. Is there any questions or comments there?
Cynthia here. Anyway, and I know in some societies, I think, like Native Indians, they allow for what they call two spirit, or in fact they revere, like um those that are born hermaphrodites, because they see them as like embodying the whole of I guess creation, and as opposed to what some of the religions do, especially the Christian ones, which result I mean punish or even kill what they see as deviants in in nature or creation. So they have their own, they're trying to impose their own ideas about the the nature of creation, ignorant of the fact that there's some species, for example fishes, what I that can switch even sex depending on the need of the moment, whatever happens, so that nature continues to thrive. And I happened to, way back when, attend this Amnesty International. It was an exhibit that was a traveling exhibition throughout Europe. During that time, I was in Europe the first time, and so I think I saw the advert. It was in Amsterdam, but then by the time I was in Spain, we became curious. So that's where we actually decided to watch it, which I thought was apropos, because after all, the Inquisition started with the Spaniards, the Spanish Inquisition, and my goodness, all the stuff that they did, in the name of God. There's all the most horrendous things, the worst things that you could think of, like Ausartung against human beings, claiming that to do it for the sake of saving your soul. It's just really so depraved. So anyway, those are just my thoughts. So it's good that we're having all these explanations, so that we don't have to keep fighting one another, and just let it be, because there's people, we don't remember all our predecessor personalities and what needs to be worked out. Whatever it is, we should actually allow evolution to take place, as nature or as creation intended it to be. Well, that's all.
Yeah, without religion, there wouldn't be any prejudice or suppression or any of that kind of thing. It's mainly the Abrahamic religions that are so intolerant. Um, other religions don't seem to have that big a problem with those kinds of things, but
I think they do it an effort to self to that's why we're overpopulated, and that's part of the reason why the main three kind of patriarchal type of religions. They also want to promote, it's a way to for control and also for propagation, in order to fill up the coffers of the church, to enrich themselves. It's just the greed, and the only way they could assure that is to make sure that it's the only type of unions that are um, observed by those societies are those between a man and woman. And then that's why it's okay for them to kill homosexuals, or they're also with lesbians and all this stuff. It's just a way to make sure that there's always uh yeah, just so that they'll be able to milk people and control them and all this stuff, and
they,
it goes into politics.
the fundamentalists have a tendency to take everything in those books completely literally, and they even look down on single people as if they're abnormal. Like, you're supposed to be married and pop children. That's what it's all about. That's it.
That's right, be a breeder.
Yeah, go forth and multiply. And they just take that to the races and they breed like rabbits. It's unfortunate, but that's the time frame that we're locked in right now. And it's going to be quite a long time before they consciously grow out of that. Uh, they've they've become so dependent on their religion and their beliefs that if you challenge that, it challenges their entire foundation. They feel that they are literally being threatened, like their lives are being threatened if you challenge their beliefs or their scriptures. Even if it's you've got volumes of evidence and and examples, historical references. It makes absolutely no difference. I posted something on Facebook a while back about with a picture of a guy in a suit of armor, and I was talking about how that I made the mistake of commenting about prayer in schools, in public schools, and this fundamentalist just exploded on me. And no matter what I could do, no matter what I came up with, he continually fell back on his Bible and his beliefs, and it was impossible to reason with him. I mean, there's a long way to go, because those religious beliefs and don't die hard, or don't die easy, I should say. Well, are there any comments on the former other recommendations that I've recited so far, or we want to go on?
Can I?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Please do.
I think this is about a I want to emphasize on the I think this is on the just a moment. I want to emphasize on the paragraph on the number 1. I think I was not able to come earlier. So the paragraph that says it is creation alone with its energy and power, that's on the number one.
Maybe
one.
David, can you scroll down so that we could
Sure. Number
see?
one.
On number one.
Yeah,
On
we
number
could
one.
all
On
be
number one.
on the same page. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
On number one. Number one.
What
Yeah.
paragraph?
I think let me see. Next page, please. Next. Order. Yeah. It is creation alone. I am touched of it. I am very much touched of it. It is creation alone with its energy and power that animates everything and everyone. It means to say that all of us, it animates us, makes us move. All matter, all fauna and flora, everything visible and invisible, everything tangible and intangible, everything visible, invisible, as what has mentioned, as what he has mentioned, that there is a redundancy. Everything visible, invisible, audible, inaudible, but also everything that is physically tangible and intangible, as well as everything that is sentient and insentient. Creation is the existence of everything that exists, from the smallest and tiniest to the mightiest and the most powerful. And it is called creation. Creation nature, because everything and everything has always emerged from it, because everything and everything emerges from it, and everything will also emerge from it, exist and be animated by its energy and power in the nature. This contradicts the religion, when there is God, that God creates everything. So this paragraph says that it's the creation who does everything. And even us, even the tiniest matter in our body, it enlivens us. It animates us. Even probably, as far as I know, even our stomach, our heart, it animates us. So if we if we do not ask from the creation, or if we do not follow the codes, the requirements of the creation, then it means to say that we are not following the instructions that the creation says on how it animates us. So these two paragraphs is for me, it's a very critical and a very strong statement that is against the religion. And even our previous knowledge, our previous I could not know, our previous knowledge, our previous culture, and this contradicts everything. So I always anchor into this paragraph. Even in the prayer, the Nicodemus prayer, it says there that it animates us, it enlivens us, and even on the contact reports, from the start of 21 days old, it enlivens us. It started our heart to pump, to move, to work. Our consciousness started at the time when the creation and energy comes into us. So that its energy and power animates everything. It animates us who have a consciousness. So that's I really want to have these two paragraphs, and I am touched by it.
Yeah, thank you. So Can I also?
Sige po.
Yeah. And upon reading it, this whole and true definition of true meaning of creation is that people, the human beings, was not able to discover that there is no God but creation, because the very root reason is respect to our creation itself, to our creation and existence itself of a human being. There is no respect. That's why there's no respect around, and that very thing of respect is very important. If we respect ourselves, if we respect our body, if we respect everything, the very tiniest existence of ourselves, then we can have respect for everything. That's my point. It was not embedded respect first to ourselves as a human being. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, can add on that.
Okay.
We're on the same page as Kuya Ray. I want to borrow some quotes from the book of Ur. So before I gonna read it, I want to read this page by David. It's already in the screen. I will just read it again. This is because the energy and power of creation nature, worship, nature can never be phantom and also never be reproduced or imitated. No matter how great the endeavors and grandiose the attempts, therefore no human beings or higher beings should appear and megalomaniacally seek to elevate themselves above creation nature, for they will never also reach the absolute neutral energy and power as well as it works, as it worked even in iota size. So from the book or if you have page 137, it says here, it is correct and must therefore be assumed that when a small particle of dust or an atom is divided, this cannot be done to infinity, but will eventually come to an end. But if we now look at the quarks, which today are fundamental components of matter, this is not entirely correct, because according to the statement of the Pleiadian, this is incorrect because the quarks are followed by other and more fine material form. Although electrons, positrons, and additional other particles join, which plays a somewhat different role in the development of matter, there are still other forms which are of enormous importance for the buildup of matter. Forces between these particles are mediated by messenger particles. The best known of these is the photon, the mediator of electromagnetic force. If something is decomposed more and more, then this procedure must come to an end sometime. Consequently, it must be obvious, even to a scientific layperson, that a decomposition of any material cannot be continued endlessly until all eternity, and also not something which is so infinitely small that it practically dissolves into nothing. Such a nothing is, however, factually equals to zero, as already Adam Race has taught, in that the way that 0 plus 0 results in 0 and remains 0 despite the fact that infinite zeros are added. But the whole zero calculation effectively only refers to the whole existing areas of material, physical, but not the spirit energy area, and therefore also not to the nothing vacuum, respectively the nothing space, respectively absolute nothing. Because this area of nothing is only nothing in the material sense of empty, zero and nothing. However, not in spirit energy sense, because spirit energy swinging waves vibrates in the nothing, as this is also the case in all absolutum forms, and the universes of every kind in innumerable number. Now, since from a purely material point of view, it is absolutely impossible for the factor zero to produce even a single infinitely smaller iota than an atom. Also, even with many and even infinitely added zeros, something can never be brought to a the denominator. Consequently, with zeros, no material physicality can be built up, created, or brought about otherwise. Consequently, something infinitely tiny in the form of material physical cannot exist at all, which could be split, respectively divided in such a way that a new and life-bearing and variable material would develop from it. A fission, respectively, division of matter, like the nuclear fission, does not ultimately produce new life, which is worth living and lasting, but only radiation, etc. And as the abuse and crimes committed with atomic bombs and other nuclear weapons since 1940s up to today prove death, ruin, and destruction. Henceforth, all and any material physical substance which can be split and divided is in any case always of pure material nature. But this has an extreme limit somewhere which does not exist and which cannot exceed in the material scientific way, even by the best educated physicists. Consequently, they will ultimately find nothing material anymore in which allows a furthermore splitting, dividing, respectively decomposition. Naturally, there is still something which lies between the non-material and still the tiniest material physical, and therefore the quarks, etc., which they can still fathom, explore, and use for deadly weapons, murdering, destroying, and annihilating. But if they have arrived so far, they cannot cross the border beyond it, because behind it, namely, because the pure creative spirit energy will put a stop to it. So that's the wonder of the creation laws. There's a limit to what everything the human can do, because he wants to, fathom everything, and deep inside, some of us human, we want to elevate ourselves above creation, so as equating ourselves like gods. But nature has designed in such a way that it will put a stop to it. There's a limit as to when, as the human being, can fathom this material knowledge. Beyond that lies the creational spirit energy that neither any educated or highest educated human being on the universe can cross to it. That's all. That's all I want to share. This is from the book Ur.
Thanks,
Richie. Yeah, Richie, can I add some more?
Yes, Kuya. Go ahead, Kuya.
Yeah, Richie, it summarizes what you have said is being summarized on the number 2. Let us go to number 2. Yeah. The human being shall hold creation in honor and dignity. So you should not separate everything, neither abusing nor harming it, like what we are doing, nor desecrating nor disrespecting it. The creation is nature, and the existence of everything and everyone that exists as a whole, as one, as it's mentioned, in the manifold universal space. The whole has no sense of a religion and is therefore not orientated towards any belief, but towards the comprehensive existence of nature and its entire fauna and flora, and also towards the entire universe and the space dust, including all the tiniest forms of life existing in it, such as its material belt or the cosmos with all solar stars, asteroids, gases, comets, meteors, nebulae, and planets. To summarize what you have said, Richie, is on this paragraph. This entirety is not to be touched in the sense that it is neither abused nor harmed, and also never desecrated, but respected and treated as good. Everything in creation should also be kept pure and clean at all times, effectively honest and truly in honor and dignity. What we have done is we were able to make a nuclear bomb by desecrating the nature, by desecrating the atom. So we have done it, and it harmed. It changes. It harmed the dignity, the honor and dignity of creation, and that will harm us. It will harm the nature, the creation itself. And that's the reason, of course, as it is always being said in the contact reports, that if you harm the nature, it will go back to you. I don't know the right term of it. Like what we are doing in the forest, in the fauna, and the flora, and it goes back to us. That's why we are experiencing a lot of floods, a lot of tornado in the other country, a lot of tidal waves, a lot of volcano eruptions, because of we do not honor, we do not dignify the creation itself. We desecrate and disrespect it. That's for the number 2. And that summarizes at what you have said, Richie. I like the complete or statement that you have said.
Okay, and also, and also to add more to what I shared is in number 3. It emphasizes there, and it is very, very touching. Number 3, first paragraph. The human being should keep everything and every one of his thoughts, feelings, emotions, and actions pure every day, and also lead his life in a truly honest and free controlling manner, thereby shaping it into a living holiday. It is said here also on the second paragraph, the human being should constantly honor, and it is also mentioned by Ray earlier, appreciate, and keep clean the positive truth according to the real and effective truth, and thus do nothing wrong and do what according to the judgment and correct is given by the all-encompassing creation. The human being should always keep everything he speaks, acts, does, and his entire behavior of every kind and form pure and honorable. Yeah. So it is mentioned again. They do not. Instead of mentioning the respect, honorable is the word that is used. Thus, also in peace, freedom, love, and in all values of the good, positive, and constantly oriented towards the contemplative, and consequently let his entire attitude be determined by calmness and gentle attention. Yeah. Okay, that's all.
Yeah. To add more, no, that's the reason why we have the prayer. I just want to go back to the prayer that Nicodemian have said, have repeated, and had forwarded to us. I will just read it again because this number 3
Yeah.
is a respect. Is a
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah.
Respect and honor. I just want to
Yeah.
read it again. My creation and energy. You are all knowing and all wise, all truthfully and all loving in me. Your name shall be honored. It's a very
Mhm.
simple statement.
Yeah.
Your almightiness shall spread out in me to the consciousness of my thoughts, so that I, in conscious ability, use, unfold, and implement the knowledge, powers, wisdom, thoughts, and the universal love, the peace, and the freedom which are present and accumulated in me. Your almightiness shall become a conscious distinctness in me, in my body, in all creation and energy realms. Let your almightiness be effective in me daily and unfold itself and nourish my knowledge and wisdom. Wherethrough I am able to recognize and resolve the committed errors which befall on me the way of my development. Let me not through materialistic and worldly things and wrong moods of thinking go delusional ways and fall into belief dependence through irrational teachings. For I shall be conscious of you, almightiness, or your almightiness in me, the power of your capability and the knowledge in the absolutum for the duration of all times. So this says that you have to honor your creation, the creation energy that is in you. He is with you. The creation energy is always with you. It is a small part in your brain that helps you, that is connected with the creation itself, and helps you provide impulses, provide you knowledge, make you consciously. And you have to consciously, of course, communicate with it. That's for me on the number 3, and it relates with the prayer, the Nicodemus prayer. We have always to think positively because we should not think negatively. Otherwise, we will have a negative, what you say, instead of neutral, positive, equalized thoughts, we will have a neutral, negative, equalized thoughts, which is not possible because our creation energy that is in us requires us to think positively because he needs evolution. It needs the creation energy that is in us. It needs creative and evolutive and wisdom that is his food. It's food. Otherwise, if we provide negative thoughts, then he will not accept it. It will not be accepted. That's why Billy said that we always have to think neutral, positive, and equalized thoughts because it is the food of our creation energy for him to evolve, for it to evolve. Wisdoms from us. Wisdoms are new things, not all things, because it's already a wisdom, then it's no longer a positive wisdom. It's already with him. He knows it already. So it has only to, he will probably, the wisdom that is with him will be provided to us as through an impulse, and we need to develop it, to improve it, to evolve more on the wisdom that he has already from our predecessors. That's my thought about number 3, and plus the prayer that is provided to us.
And
by
to
Nock.
Yeah, and to add more, I think we cannot avoid to think negative because we are not yet perfect. I think this negativeness in our thinking should be honored also, should be respected. We should respect whatever negative thoughts we had. We study ourselves, its root cause, why we became negative, and then resolve it. Resolve that negativeness. So this honor and respect includes everything in ourselves.
Yeah, agree, because
Yeah.
you need to have a negative to become neutral.
Yeah.
Otherwise, but you have to think positively. And when you think positively, there will always be negative, and make it neutralized. equalized, and move forward again. And how will you move forward? You have to think positively. And then on that positive, there will be negative again that will come to you. Then you have to neutralize it again. And then think already positive, then that's evolution. The negative evolves you. For every positive, there is always a negative. If there is good, there is evil, as what say with the religion.
Richie, did you have something you wanted to say?
I'm all good. I'm all good. Yes.
Okay.
Just
Well,
to
shall we? Oh,
just to break before we go on. Yeah, this you when I read this, I smile. You know, the meaning of marriage. The word marriage comes from the old High German Iwa, meaning law or provision. Wedding, also called marriage or nuptials, refers to the old Germanic word hirat. Hirat in Filipino meaning is good for you. It is said that they congratulate a person who will get married because they will enter the world of exploring, of trouble, of complication. So this hirat is, yeah, maybe it's the right word, but it's so it's not hirat means it's you call it mean. It's a mean word in Filipino. Okay, that's all.
okay. Let's see. We left off on 5, didn't we?
Yeah. Wait a minute. Because I have in my laptop, I'm reading it myself. I'm following it na, wait a minute.
Yes, it's 5.
Four.
5.
It's 4 at the
Yeah.
end.
Well, yeah, 5. We're going into 5 now. We just
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the very end. Mhm.
The-
Okay.
Are we ready? Excuse me.
Yep.
Okay. Had to clear my throat there. The human being should show respect, honor, and appreciation to creation, which is nature and everything that exists in energy and power throughout the universe, and strive to nurture and care for it just as he should respect, honor, and appreciate all life and its parents. The human being should show dignity and honor to creation, to nature, to keep it in order and thus cherish and care for it, because it is, together with all its fauna and flora and other existing things, the basis of all life and thus of all existence. Through the existence of creation or nature alone, through its all-encompassing energy and power, the life of all fauna and flora and its countless genera and species, all matter of every kind, all waters, planets, asteroids, comets, outer space, and the entire cosmos and universe is possible. In accordance with the guidelines of creation or nature, which sustains all life and existence and is infinite in its myriad species, aspects, facets, genera, and forms, etc., for the still deficient human understanding, the human being should show due respect, honor, and dignity to everything.
Hmm.
Same time, he should give everything good care and nurture and offer everything such protection that it remains undamaged and protected from all dangers caused by human beings, from all decay, and also from every unnatural offense of a human being. Number 6, the human being shall not kill his own kind, as in any Auserton, genera or species of animals, creatures, or other life forms. The human being shall not kill his own kind, for in many cases this is nothing other than murder, i.e. a deliberate killing of human beings, regardless of the kind and wise. Also, regardless of how courts and human beings alone judge and name each murder differently. And murder is the deliberate killing of human beings in any way, especially killing through war, as well as through terror, jealousy, lust, hatred, punishment, torment, execution, sexual degeneracy, torture, manslaughter, greed, contempt for human beings, etc. With regard to the killing of human lives, the range is wide and varied, so only the most important forms of killing should be mentioned, which are judged differently by the courts in terms of their manner and background. Now, I think for the sake of simplicity and not to repeat the word killing over and over again, it has a tendency to be quite verbose in certain situations. So I'm going to skip over all of these types, which I think, we're pretty much familiar with, and proceed on to the other section here. The killing of human beings by their own kind corresponds to a malignant Ausertum and is in no wise something that creation prescribes, but something that corresponds to a malignity, as has been handed down since time immemorial. This has been the case for 9 billion years, when Nokodemian and the Ankar parallel universe announced the human being's behavioral teachings, which were also brought, taught, and disseminated in our Dern universe. Even in times, human beings were taught, "Thou shalt not kill," and not in Ausertum, which is to be understood as meaning that human beings should not consciously kill their own kind, which in every case, without exception, is nothing other than what corresponds to the term murder, which means that a human being is consciously deprived of life and killed, which corresponds to Ausertum. If we get to the bottom of the origin of the term murder, we find Germanic roots in the term merba, or I think that's merba, as well as in the Indo-European mer-a, which is said to have meant to die. By nature, according to creation, human beings are not allowed to kill their own kind, but only if they are fully aware of their responsibility to kill animals, creatures, and other life forms for effective food purposes. In doing so, full responsibility is to be exercised. And it is to be observed that absolutely every wise of cruelty to animals must be excluded and should never be practiced. Furthermore, this killing should be carried out with moderation and purpose, and consequently also not be practiced for meat. It should only ever be carried out as a result of the need to kill a lower life form if this becomes necessary, and if such life form is to be killed. It is necessity if the necessity makes it necessary to use the meat as food. To kill a human being is in any case and without exception an Ausertum, because he is a completely consciously thinking, and in this way, a consciously evolving being, which clearly has within itself a creation energetic, as well as an evolutionary capable creation life energetic with a fully conscious consciousness and subconscious, and knows that it should not kill its own kind. The human being is such a being that, in addition to the creation life energetic consciousness, also has a physical consciousness and subconscious. While the lower life forms only have a semi-conscious consciousness, or others, for example, an instinct life, impulse life, etc. Consequently, it is not given to these kinds of living beings that they can think and evolve consciously, and also not according to reason, which means that killing, harming, or injuring their own kind, as well as other kinds of life, is usually inherent to them. Humanly, in the rarest case of self-defense, it can happen unintentionally under certain circumstances that harm, injury, or death is caused, which is then generally to be considered an act of self-defense and should not be punishable, just as any unintentional killing in this respect. Consequently, if it is then to be judged, it should be considered unintentional and exempt from punishment. This, however, just as otherwise and contrary, every intentional killing of a human being is murder. Every killing without forethought and justification, but out of recklessness, no matter how, where, and when, is to be judged and punished as reckless killing. Number 7, the human being shall not rob or take away any property without authorization, shall not steal, shall not expropriate, and shall not enrich himself by thievery. The human being shall not deprive another human being or any other third party of anything by robbery, theft, violence, murder, fraud, deception, or lies, etc. This applies to anything and everything. This applies to anything and everything that is the property of others, including their personal and material possessions, money and valuables, i.e. jewelry and the like, or anything that is in the care and custody of a person. This therefore applies to everything that concerns the property of other persons, whether this is private property or whether it is in the custody of a person, bank, group, community, association, or society. However, it is not enough for robbery and expropriation to refer only to material values, for it is just as reprehensible and unjust to rob an animal, bird, dog, lizard, rabbit, chicken, goose, or any other living creature of any species or kind. Equally, it also includes the theft of human beings for whatever purpose, be it for prostitution, slavery, or kidnapping, or for the extortion of money or goods, etc. Robbery is also carried out in such a way that the planet's resources are not plundered excessively for the sake of profit, thereby destroying its inner joints. But if this is done, it will have unpleasant and equal consequences and effects that not only jeopardize all life on the planet, but even its existence. And we're certainly seeing that right now, every day in every way. And this is something that is denied by the scientists in charge, because in their low intelligence, they either do not know this or are hiding it as a result of money grubbing. All predation is also not right in the sense that Earth humans are destroying everything as a result of overpopulation and its excessive needs and the negative machinations of resulting from this. This applies to nature and also to the wild animal world as well as all the other living world of all species of fauna, flora and fauna, and that it robs them of their habitat. The human being is doing this by increasingly constricting the habitat and the disfiguring and obstructing it with houses, factories, sports grounds, railway lines, motorways, and other roads, and many other things. This is just as water bodies, rivers, lakes, streams, rivulets, and of all kinds, and seas should not be robbed of their normal space, because this is also the space for all aquatic life, which loses its habitat through the robbery of water, which is also poisoned by human beings and filled with rubbish, whereby slowly but surely the aquatic life forms of all genera and species are dying out, as is also happening in the forests, mountains, meadows, and pastures, and in the soil. Number 8, the human being shall not deceive and lie against the effective reality and truth of creation and all life of every species and kind, of every matter and everything else visible and invisible in the entire universe that exists through its energy and power. The human being should always think, speak, and act according to reality and truth. Consequently, he should also never think or speak unreal things, just as he should only act correctly, so that he does not thereby cause any harm, suffering, misery, enmity, strife, murder, destruction, or other misfortune of any kind, or even war. Throughout, reality should always be seen and its truth recognized. And this should also be represented as knowledge and defended in a peaceful manner, as well as spread openly and honestly to the outside world in order to set an example, so that other human beings can also benefit from it and learn to find reality and its truth. The human being should therefore also lead his thoughts, actions, and life in accordance with reality and its truth, from which he is able to recognize that the reality and its truth of creation is the energy and power of all that exists in the universal nature in a wise and unseen way, and not in any way a God or higher might or the like. The reality and its truth about creation and its energy and power, as well as all life of every kind and wise that arises and comes forth through it, should be represented and not fraudulently and mendaciously slandered by deceit and lies, or by a belief that is in any case absolutely unprovable, and by illusions and fantasies. Only reality and its truth should ever be represented, for they belong together eternally, because they are inseparable and also signify true life. And accordingly, Earth humans and everything that belongs to the human-like or human-like should also act in thought and deed in such a way as is effectively correct and must be. Consequently, reality and its truth, and thus creation, should not be abused or attempted to be altered in any wise, etc. For anything directed against it never brings success, but only damage and devolution. Consequently, only that which is natural or creational can bring success and be evolutionary, while everything and anything that is directed against and creates the natural or creational only brings death and destruction and ruin. Let me repeat that one again because it sounded kind of confusing to me. Consequently, only that which is natural or creational can bring success and be evolutionary, while everything and anything that is directed against and creates the natural or creational only brings death and destruction and ruin. Okay, I think it's got it now. Note, comparison. Nuclear fission equals atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, with hundreds of thousands of human beings dead, in addition to the enormous destruction and atomic radiation, etc. Such things were not intended by creation and only find a complete Ausartung through human beings. The human being should not and never change and abuse the good, all-encompassing peacefulness of creation. Because every abuse or attempt at change that the human being undertakes against creation, i.e., against the all-encompassing nature and its energy and power, brings some kind of Ausartung and damage, which should actually have been known from time immemorial. Nevertheless, he acts contrary to all knowledge, understanding, and reason, for which not only he, but also the planet, nature, and its waters, forests, mountains, meadows, marshes, and floodplains, etc., as well as the entire fauna and flora, suffer immeasurable damage and often fall victim to extinction. But the human being is, in his ever-increasing delusion of self-importance, indifference, and irresponsibility, does not think about this, as a result of which he has bred a planetary overcrowding of humanity, an overpopulation that is destroying the planet, the entire creation, with all life and everything else that goes with it. He has sunk so low in his understanding and reason that he is no longer able to realize reality in its truth. Consequently, he destroys all the foundations of life, and in his low intelligence and simple-mindedness does not realize that he fundamentally violates every order of creation and violently calls into question any continuation of any form of life on planet Earth and its very existence. Number 9, the human being should always remain with reality and its truth. Consequently, they should not speak untruth and not conjure up evil, disaster, misunderstanding, and wrong action, death and destruction through lies. The human being should not speak the great evil of lies and other untruth, but should always cultivate the truth according to reality. Lies of all kinds quickly lead to a habit, whereby the human being becomes more and more deceitful and falls more and more into dishonesty, which extends not only to lies, but also to behavior and dishonesty in general. Lies are not only used to disguise and conceal reality and its truth, but also to deliberately misrepresent it. Because a lie is a false and untrue statement that is deliberately and consciously presented as the truth in order to deceive or generally even manipulate someone. Lies can be based on 1,000 different motives, such as lies for gain, lies to deceive, lies for fear of punishment, or otherwise lies to avoid consequences, lies to gain advantages, lies to distract from unpleasant things, lies to deliberately deceive, lies to deny guilt, lies to deny knowledge, lies to mislead, lies for the purpose of manipulation, lies for self-protection, lies to harm others, lies of distress and necessity, lies about feelings, lies to protect oneself, also lies to destroy trust, and lies to destroy relationships, lies to create conflict, and lies to avoid harm, etc. Lies are made with full intent, whereby the intention behind them is always to deceive others. The human being who tells a lie is a liar and knows that he is saying or writing, if lying is done in writing, something untrue. Consequently, a lie is something completely different from when a human being is mistaken. Because when someone is mistaken, they truthfully do not know that what they are saying does not correspond to reality or its truth. A lie, seen from a truthful point of view, corresponds to a conscious and therefore deliberately untruthful representation of something that is not true, but which is presented as truthful in order to gain the acknowledgement and consent of the person on the receiving end of the lie and to deceive them. Human beings who lie usually invent something for their benefit, twisting the truth, speaking an untruth. They deliberately deviate from the truth when they lie and say or tell something that corresponds to a lie. And passionate liars, both male and female, who brazenly tell lies, also tell them uninhibitedly when they know that their listener will recognize the lie immediately. So in any case, a lie is always and without exception a statement that human beings make fully consciously and with a certain justification, and which is labeled as a fistful, mean, smooth, coarse, vile, or sophisticated lie, depending on the circumstances. The human being should speak truths in accordance with reality. Then everything to be said should be said as clearly as it also corresponds to reality and its truth. The human being should never consciously dare to distort the truth in a lying manner, because this leads to quarrels, strife, misunderstandings, hatred, murder, manslaughter, discord, and even war. The human being who accepts and understands something correctly, but misrepresents it due to a lack of the necessary means of expression, and therefore expresses it incorrectly, is not lying, but merely the inability to explain something clearly. Therefore, human beings should always endeavor to explain everything and anything in an understandable way, so that the human being understands everything correctly, whereby it may also be necessary under certain circumstances to discuss and inquire about the matter in question in such detail until the facts are clear and no misunderstandings remain. Number 10, the human being should not indulge in covetousness, and should not covet his neighbor's possessions, goods, or treasures. The human being should not be covetous and should not covet his neighbor's possessions and goods, nor should he also covet his neighbor's treasures and other possessions. For all that is his neighbor's property should be untouchable and safe from foreign hands and remain. Excuse me?
Break. I just have a question on the previous one about the lying.
Yeah.
Anyone can answer because it happens to our daily life, especially for the married couples. I think Kuya Ray knows about this, especially on the women's side. Not downplaying them, but it happens unconsciously. Like if you are walking in the mall and it happens that you're with your wife and you're facing with the one lady's walking in front of you, and then it so happens that your wife sees this lady and this lady is looking to your husband, but your husband is not aware, and then suddenly your wife is asking, is she pretty? And then you're out of nowhere, you're clueless as to what is happening. Asking, if you're using logic and reason, if you look at her, should I answer correctly or should I make a little bit of white lie? Because if you answered letter A, I will answer truthfully. Yes, she's more beautiful than you, and then you will think when we're gonna arrive at home, I think it will be an endless quarrel. Or she will say, "Do you like her?" Like that. Or if you want to lie, in the safer side, you will say, she's just normal. Like that. Because
My favorite answer to that question, do you think she's pretty? I would be honest. And if she was pretty, I would say, yes, I think she's pretty, but not nearly as pretty as you.
that's good.
So I
Like-
qualified it. So I kind of was honest, but I couched it in a compliment so that she wouldn't feel slighted or threatened, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they still smack you back the head, you know.
I can simply answer about that.
Yes, I'm waiting for your answer, your expert opinion.
I just say, yeah, she's beautiful. But is she my wife? You are my wife. So you're, of course, I can't do anything about it. I'm tied. Already, I'm married with you. If I'm not married, then I can't, probably. But of course, you're already there. You're already, then you can't do anything about it. See,
Yeah.
there are a lot more beautiful than your wife, of course. But especially if you're living in an island and the most beautiful there is your wife, then of course you can't do anything about it. And then when you go to the city or whatever, and then you can find a lot of. But of course, you already have a commitment with your wife, and if you do a lot of things, if you do things that is not uh, that is wrong about your relationship, then something is wrong with you. Of course, something will happen. It will damage your family. It will affect your family. But of course, you have to say that she's beautiful. Even in the movie, even in the TVs, then normally when we see movies, wow, she's beautiful. Then my wife will say, more beautiful than me? Yes. And then I am more beautiful than you.